There is a sleeping giant within you, silent, waiting, watching, bound not by chains of steel, but by thoughts of smallness. It stirs each time you dream of more, then fades as the world convinces you to be ordinary again. But tonight, that giant awakens. For 2 hours, you will let the wisdom that built empires and created fortunes wash through your mind like a tide washing away fear. You will fall asleep not to noise, but to law, the law that all greatness begins in thought, that every success is born first within the mind. You have lived long enough in the half-light of potential. You have waited for confidence to arrive, for luck to appear, for opportunity to knock. But opportunity does not visit the sleeping mind. Opportunity kneels before the man who is already awake. Tonight, as the world drifts into meaningless chatter, you will drift into creation. You will listen until these words echo not as inspiration, but as identity. You will awaken not to noise, but to purpose. For greatness is not something granted. It is something activated. You will not need to struggle to become it. You already are it. You simply need to awaken it. Understand this. The difference between a beggar and a millionaire is not intelligence, not luck, not birth. It is the state of mind. Every man possesses the same hours, the same soil, the same sun. But only the man whose mind believes in his power can command life to obey him. And that power, my friend, sleeps inside you now, waiting to be summoned. For the next 2 hours, I will speak directly to that sleeping mind, the subconscious, the hidden workshop of creation. It never rests, never argues, never doubts. It only obeys. It will receive every word you hear tonight as command. Each truth will plant itself deep within, taking root in silence, growing in darkness, until it bursts forth as confidence, faith, and direction. You will awaken with a new awareness that you are not a servant of circumstance, but a master of thought. The poor man says, "When I have money, I will think differently." The rich man says, "When I think differently, I will have money." That is the difference. That is the law. And that is what this night will awaken within you. You may have spent years doubting your power, rehearsing failure, reliving fear, repeating limitation. Your subconscious has memorized those patterns like a script. But tonight, that script will be rewritten. As you drift toward sleep, your conscious mind will relax. The gate will open, and these truths will enter freely. That wealth is a state of consciousness. That confidence is the byproduct of definiteness. That purpose creates magnetism. That faith is the most profitable investment a man can ever make. You will not simply hear these truths. You will absorb them. They will sink beneath thought and take command of habit. They will work while you rest. And tomorrow the results will begin. You will find yourself moving differently, deciding faster, believing deeper. You will begin to feel the quiet strength of a mind that knows where it is going. That feeling, that calm certainty, is the first sign that greatness has awakened. Do not underestimate what is happening as you listen. Every idea you hear tonight was tested in the fires of reality by men who built industries from nothing. Carnegie, Edison, Ford, Rockefeller, Schwab, they all began as dreamers. Ordinary men who learned to think extraordinarily. They understood what most never learn, that thoughts are seeds and the mind is soil. If you plant faith, you harvest fortune. If you plant doubt, you harvest delay. You have spent years watering the wrong garden. Tonight, that ends. For these 2 hours, you will feed your mind only success, only power, only truth. Every repetition of these laws will push weakness further away until it no longer recognizes you. Every affirmation will polish your belief until it gleams like steel. Every lesson will remind you that you are not here to chase wealth. You are here to command it through service, purpose, and definiteness. This is what it means to fall asleep to the mind of a millionaire. It is not greed. It is mastery. The millionaire mind does not beg for opportunity. It creates it. It does not measure life by what it receives, but by what it can give through intelligent effort. It does not dwell on fear, but on faith. It does not whisper, "What if?" It declares, "I will." And as these words pass through your mind, the same law that made fortunes for the great will begin to move for you. For law does not discriminate. It responds to belief, not background. It answers definiteness, not delay. So tonight, decide. Decide that this will be the night your mind changes forever. Decide that every word you hear will sink deeply and awaken power that no one can take from you. Decide that when you rise in the morning, you will not return to the man who laid down because he no longer exists. The new mind will not drift. The new mind will not fear. The new mind will not hesitate. It will act, it will believe, it will persist until all that it envisions becomes visible. This is the process by which all greatness is born: thought, belief, persistence, realization. It begins with one decision: to awaken the sleeping mind. So listen closely now. Let every word guide you deeper into faith. Let every sentence carry you closer to rest. Let every law engrave itself into your subconscious until it thinks wealth automatically. For the next 2 hours, you are not merely listening. You are transforming. You are falling asleep to the noise of fear and awakening to the rhythm of power. You are entering the same mental current that has carried all great men to success. You will awaken rich in confidence, rich in clarity, rich in decision. And from that wealth, all other riches will follow. Now, let go. Close your eyes, fall asleep to greatness, and awaken to the mind of a millionaire. Part 1, the hidden workshop of wealth. Every fortune begins in silence. Long before the gold appears, long before the plan is spoken, there is a moment when the mind conceives in quiet what it will one day command in form. It is there, in the hidden workshop of thought, that all riches are first manufactured. The outer world is only the reflection of an inner one, the shadow cast by invisible law. A man's mind is the only estate he truly owns. Lands can be seized, titles lost, fortunes squandered, but thought remains the one property no power on earth can confiscate. Yet most men leave this divine estate barren. They let weeds of doubt and fear overrun the soil where faith and definiteness should grow. Wealth belongs not to possession, but to preparation, to the man who tends his inner field with discipline. There exists within every person a silent giant, a sleeping force awaiting direction. It is called the subconscious mind. It knows no fatigue, feels no doubt, and accepts no argument. It takes every thought you permit and works day and night to bring it into reality. It is the invisible architect of your destiny, the unseen builder of your fortune. But like any builder, it can only construct from the blueprints you provide. The drifting mind sends mixed designs, confusion in, confusion out. One day you dream of success. The next you whisper fear. You command abundance, then contradict it with hesitation. The subconscious does not judge. It obeys. If you think poverty, it builds limitation. If you think prosperity, it builds opportunity. The law is exact. As within, so without. This truth is too simple for most to believe. They wait for outer conditions to change, never realizing they are the condition. They hope for wages to rise, for luck to turn, for chance to favor them. But the world does not pay for hope. It pays for definiteness. Until thought becomes ordered, fortune cannot. Every rich man has first been a man of inner wealth, a mind organized around a clear and burning ideal. Andrew Carnegie once said that long before he earned a single dollar, he had already seen himself surrounded by abundance. As a poor boy in Scotland, he would walk home from the factory with his imagination full of palaces, libraries, and enterprises. He pictured them so vividly that he could feel their presence. The world called it daydreaming. Law called it direction. That image became his silent command to the subconscious, and life, obedient to law, arranged the steps to fulfill it. This is the difference between idle wishing and mental construction. The wishful man hopes vaguely and quits early. The constructor thinks deliberately and persists until the unseen becomes seen. Wishing is emotional weakness. Thinking is spiritual strength. Wishing depends on luck. Thinking depends on law. The man who thinks in pictures of abundance plants definite seeds in the soil of the subconscious. With time and repetition, they must germinate. Wealth is not money. Money is only the shadow cast by inner order. True wealth is the organized state of mind that knows where it is going and commands its forces accordingly. It is thought arranged by purpose, faith disciplined by law, and emotion purified by self-control. The millionaire mind is not measured by coins, but by command, the ability to hold a definite picture long enough for the world to obey it. The poor man often laughs at this idea. He says, "How can thought alone produce wealth?" He cannot see that thought is the seed of every creation he uses. Every house, every machine, every bridge began as a silent image in a man's mind. Nothing exists in the physical world that was not first a mental picture. The subconscious is the divine womb of all invention, all advancement, all success. If the mind is the factory of wealth, then repetition is its machinery. The thought you repeat most becomes the pattern your subconscious mass produces. One moment of enthusiasm means little. The steady pulse of belief means everything. The poor man thinks sporadically, hoping for chance. The rich man thinks rhythmically, knowing that law never fails. Repetition is faith in motion. To awaken your own hidden workshop, begin each morning with a mental command and end each night with repetition of faith. Upon waking, declare to yourself, "My mind is the factory of my fortune. I think in order, I act in faith, and all that I imagine shall take form." Say it with feeling. The subconscious responds not to words, but to vibration. Then before sleep, repeat the same truth until drowsiness carries it into the deeper mind. Do not underestimate this act. The hours before sleep and after waking are the golden gates of creation. In those moments, the conscious mind is quiet, and the subconscious is most receptive. What you impress upon it during these sacred hours becomes the pattern of your days. Feed it fear, and fear returns. Feed it faith, and fortune responds. Understand that the subconscious is not sentimental. It will build prisons as easily as palaces, depending on the blueprints you hand it. It holds no opinion on good or bad, only on clear or confused. The universe does not reward complaint. It rewards command. Each thought you think is a decree. Each feeling you dwell upon is an order written upon the invisible ether, and every order must be fulfilled. Carnegie's story reveals this precision. When asked how he built his empire, he said, "I never doubted that I could. Doubt is the only poverty that cannot be cured by money. Faith, rightly used, is capital in motion. The moment he fixed his vision, life conspired to make it real. Men appeared, circumstances aligned, opportunities unfolded. To the unseeing, it looked like luck. To the wise, it was law. Most men exhaust their power in conversation, emotion, or worry. They scatter mental energy as one would scatter seeds on rock. The wise man collects his thought and directs it. He speaks little, thinks deeply, and acts surely. His silence is not emptiness, but concentration. Those who meet him feel his composure. They sense his inner government. Such a man does not chase wealth. He attracts it because order recognizes order. Imagine for a moment two minds, one restless, one definite. The restless man wakes with anxiety, shifts between desires, and talks of what he will do but never begins. The definite man wakes with purpose, speaks with calm, and does not reveal his plans until they are formed. The world resists the first and assists the second. Law itself seems to bend toward definiteness. You may ask, how does one create such calm? The answer is practice. The subconscious learns through repetition. If you feed it one definite thought daily, a thought of faith, wealth, or purpose, it will soon believe it without question. And what the subconscious believes, the outer world must mirror. The secret of greatness lies in training thought as an artist trains his hand, patiently, deliberately, until mastery replaces motion. The poor man looks for ways to earn more. The wise man learns to think better. For thought governs earning. When the mind vibrates with definiteness, it draws to itself ideas, people, and events in harmony with that vibration. Opportunity does not come by accident. It is magnetized by the man whose mental current is strong and steady. This is why the richest men seem lucky. Fortune merely follows their mental order. You, too, may become such a magnet, but you must pay the price of discipline. Each time you allow worry to rule you, you reverse the current. Each time you indulge in gossip or fear, you scatter energy that should be building. Hold to your mental image with calm certainty, and soon it will hold to you. The man who learns to think deliberately saves decades of wasted labor. He does not chase temporary gain. He builds permanent wealth. His riches are not only of gold, but of peace, confidence, and control. When he walks into a room, others feel something, the invisible assurance of a man who knows where he is going. That assurance is worth more than any fortune, for it commands all fortune. If you have struggled for years and seen little result, look not to the world, but to your workshop. Ask, what designs have I given my subconscious? Have I built confusion or conviction? Have I repeated doubt more than faith? The world has obeyed you faithfully, though perhaps not as you intended. The remedy is simple. Issue new orders. Begin tonight. As you drift into rest, repeat these words slowly. I think in riches, I act in law, I command as creator. Let them sink beneath thought, into the realm where all creation begins. Imagine your mind as a quiet factory, its machinery humming, its workers assembling the future according to your decree. See wealth forming, opportunity aligning, peace expanding. Know it is done. In time, the evidence will appear. The outer world will rearrange itself to reflect your inner command. People will sense your quiet certainty and treat you with new respect. Circumstances will move with a rhythm that favors your plans. You will find that chance no longer rules your days. Law does. And when that day comes, you will look back and understand that the true beginning of your fortune was not a business, not a meeting, not a discovery. It was the silent hour when you decided to think deliberately. That moment awakened the giant within, and from that moment forward, life could never again deny you. For the law is eternal. All riches are first imagined, then believed, then built. Part 2. The Law of Mental Gold. Faith is the gold of the mind. It is the one treasure that multiplies by use and vanishes by neglect. The man who learns to believe as firmly as he breathes has already discovered the secret that built every empire, invented every marvel, and raised every man from mediocrity to mastery. Faith is not a feeling that visits and departs. It is a discipline, a craft, an art of commanding the unseen until it shapes the seen. You cannot hold faith in your hands, yet it holds every fortune in its grasp. You cannot measure it by weight or by sound, yet the vibration of one mind burning with faith can move nations. The weak man calls faith imagination. The wise man calls imagination faith in rehearsal. Faith is the mental alchemy that changes every idea into its golden equivalent. It turns vision into plan, and plan into fact. When I speak of faith, I do not mean blind belief in chance or vague hope for luck. I mean deliberate conviction in the power of law. Faith is not ignorance of obstacles. It is mastery over them. The man of faith does not deny the mountain. He simply begins to climb it with the calm certainty that each step obeys an invisible order. The doubter stands at the base and prays for proof. The believer moves upward and becomes it. The subconscious mind is the mint in which this mental gold is struck. Each thought you impress upon it receives a value, and that value determines your fortune. Thoughts backed by fear are counterfeit. They circulate poverty. Thoughts backed by faith are genuine. They circulate success. You are the treasure of your own mind. Each day you issue currency to your future, some of it worthless, some of it pure. Thomas Edison understood this principle so completely that failure could not exist in his vocabulary. He believed in electricity as fact long before the world could see it. To him, the unseen law was as real as a lamp on his desk. Others saw darkness. He saw energy waiting for obedience. When he was asked how he endured thousands of failures, he smiled and said, "I have discovered 1,000 ways that will not work." To most, that sounded like persistence. To the wise, it was faith, applied, disciplined, and organized. Faith, when properly used, becomes a system. It is not emotion alone, it is habit. The man of faith repeats truth until his subconscious accepts it as law. Each repetition engraves the belief deeper until thought becomes instinct, and instinct becomes power. Just as gold must be refined by heat, faith must be strengthened by repetition. The furnace of emotion melts resistance. The hammer of discipline shapes conviction. Consider how easily doubt corrodes this process. Doubt is rust on the machinery of thought. A single day of fear can undo a week of building. The mind, like metal, requires polishing. Faith must be renewed daily, for it is not a single act. It is a state of vibration maintained by attention. The man who tends his faith each morning begins the day rich. The man who neglects it ends the day bankrupt. You may think of faith as the unseen partner in every enterprise. When Carnegie built his empire of steel, faith was his first investment. When Ford built his motor car, faith was his first engine. When Edison brought light to the world, faith was his first filament. None of them waited for proof. They began with conviction, then worked backward from belief to result. Faith was the architect. Effort merely followed the blueprint. Faith is not only internal, it radiates outward as unseen influence. Others sense it before you speak a word. There is a certain composure about the man who believes. His tone carries no apology, his gaze no uncertainty. He does not argue because he knows that truth does not debate, it declares. His presence commands cooperation, not through force, but through harmony. People trust the man whose confidence mirrors their unspoken need for direction. This is why faith builds leadership. Leadership is not born of authority, It is born of conviction. The follower feels safe in the presence of the man who knows, for faith emits order, and order calms confusion. In business, in friendship, in creation, the man of faith governs through certainty. Others lend him their energy because his vibration promises success. To train faith, begin as you would train muscle. Set aside 10 minutes each morning to repeat one prosperous thought with full emotion. Choose a statement of truth and live in it until you feel it breathing through you. Say, "My faith is my fortune. I believe, therefore I build." Speak it until it becomes tone rather than sentence, until its rhythm is the pulse of your being. Then act in harmony with it, even if your senses deny its reality. Every act of faith builds strength, just as every act of doubt builds weakness. When you believe in spite of evidence, you teach your mind to obey your command rather than circumstance. In that obedience lies power. The world bends to the man who bends his mind to law. You cannot serve two masters, fear and faith. One will always rule the other. Choose your master, and you choose your destiny. Doubt argues, faith commands. Doubt hesitates, faith decides. Doubt hopes for rescue, faith moves in order. If you wish to change your fortune, stop discussing obstacles and begin repeating outcomes. Speak of what shall be as if it were already so. The subconscious does not know tense. It acts only upon the strength of belief. Every great man has spoken his future into being. Think of faith as vibration. When your thought vibrates with confidence, it draws to itself all that is in tune with its frequency. The fearful man attracts more fear. The courageous man attracts opportunity. You cannot build wealth on the vibration of worry. You must vibrate with the feeling of success. Even before you see results, act as one who knows they are inevitable. Law has no choice but to obey sustained conviction. Edison did not ask for permission to invent light. He assumed its existence and bent law until it revealed itself. Faith is assumption disciplined into certainty. The man of faith does not demand miracles. He creates them by obedience to principle. The law of electricity was not made for Edison. It was always there, awaiting discovery by a mind that believed. So too, the laws of wealth await the man who dares to use them. To the man of doubt, life is a series of random events. To the man of faith, life is divine order revealing itself step by step. One sees confusion, the other sees direction. One complains of chance, the other commands circumstance. The difference lies not in the world, but in the belief behind the eyes. Understand this clearly. Faith is not noise. It is calm, steady, organized energy. It does not shout, it radiates. It does not rush, it directs. It does not beg, it knows. The man of faith walks through storms untouched because he understands that the storm is part of the plan. His calmness becomes a wall. His belief becomes armor. Others panic while he proceeds, and when the tempest clears, he stands where others fled. Faith also requires purity of motive. The universe rewards belief that serves more than self. When faith is joined with purpose and goodwill, it multiplies. When tainted by greed or deceit, it collapses. The law gives to those who give through it. The man who believes for the benefit of many channels infinite intelligence. The man who believes only for personal gain interrupts the flow. You will know your faith is pure when peace accompanies it. False faith is noisy, anxious, defensive. True faith is tranquil, patient, and unyielding. The one pretends to believe, the other lives belief. You need not tell others of your conviction, they will feel it. Your silence will speak louder than their boasting. Make a habit of testing your thoughts. Ask, does this idea increase my belief or decrease it? Every mental picture that strengthens confidence belongs in your mind. Every picture that weakens it must be cast out. Guard your mind as you would guard gold, for faith is the only wealth that cannot be stolen. Do not wait for circumstances to justify belief. Believe to justify circumstances. The man who says, "When I succeed, I will have faith," never does. The man who says, "Because I have faith, I shall succeed," always will. This is not superstition, it is sequence. The seed must come before the harvest. To practice the law of mental gold, create a daily rhythm. Upon waking, speak your definite command of success. Throughout the day, observe your tone, your thought, your feeling. Keep them aligned with your goal. When doubt arises, do not wrestle it. Replace it. Say aloud, "I believe, therefore I build." At night before rest, repeat this truth once more until the words dissolve into sleep. The subconscious will accept it as command and labor while you rest. Faith grows in darkness. The farmer does not dig up the seed each morning to check its progress. He trusts the process and continues watering. Likewise, trust the unseen work of your mind. Your belief is the seed, your repetition the watering. In time, results must appear. When faith becomes habit, wealth becomes inevitable. You will begin to notice coincidences aligning in your favor, doors opening without effort, people arriving at the right moment. This is not magic. It is the magnetic law of belief attracting its own. To the untrained, it looks like chance. To the believer, it is divine order. You will also notice a change in yourself. Your tone will deepen, your manner will steady, your eyes will carry calm. People will begin to ask for your counsel, though you offer none. They will feel your confidence as one feels warmth near a fire. Faith is contagious. The vibration of one believer can awaken 100 sleeping minds. There will come a day when you will look back at all you feared and smile at its smallness. You will see that faith was never about size, but about direction. A drop of faith applied to truth outweighs oceans of doubt. From that moment, you will move through life not as one seeking proof, but as one creating it. Faith, when perfected, becomes peace. You no longer chase wealth, you allow it. You no longer argue with delay. You trust its rhythm. You no longer struggle to believe. You live in belief as naturally as you breathe. And in that quiet confidence, all things flow to you in their proper season. Repeat now within yourself the golden decree of mind. My faith is my fortune. I believe, therefore I build. Let these words become your nightly signature. As you sleep, your subconscious will take them as command. It will turn them over like a craftsman polishing gold, removing every particle of fear until only purity remains. When you awaken, you will feel it, the calm conviction that no circumstance can defeat the man who believes. For faith is the law of mental gold, and he who mines within shall never know poverty again. Part 3. The master law of definite thought. Every man walks the earth surrounded by an invisible army of his own thoughts. They march according to the orders he gives them, some straight, some scattered, some at war with each other. The undisciplined mind lives as a battlefield. The definite mind lives as a kingdom. The difference between confusion and command lies in one principle: definiteness of thought. A drifting mind is a wasted estate. It spends its power like a gambler, tossing coins, hoping for luck to favor him. But life does not reward luck. It rewards law. The man who knows what he wants and why he wants it compels the forces of life to assist him. Indefinite thought builds nothing because law cannot serve contradiction. A seed planted today and uprooted tomorrow cannot grow. Definiteness of thought is not mere planning. It is the concentration of all mental energy around a single center. It is thought gathered into focus, emotion trained into direction, and will applied without hesitation. The moment a man decides precisely what he desires, he ceases to drift. His mind stops wandering and begins to attract. The world rearranges itself around his decision as surely as metal moves to magnet. Henry Ford once fixed a thought so definite that no ridicule could dislodge it. His idea was simple: a car for the multitude. At the time, it sounded foolish. Automobiles were toys for the wealthy, fragile contraptions for sport. Yet Ford saw a vision so clear that no mockery could obscure it. He repeated it daily, refined it nightly, and built his entire organization upon that thought. The thought became machine. The machine became empire. Ford's genius was not mechanical, but mental. He understood that thought, when definite, becomes a spiritual magnet. Every person, every idea, every material element necessary to fulfill it is drawn forth by law. When a man holds one idea long enough with faith, he enters harmony with infinite intelligence itself, which then works through him. Definite thought is a prayer answered in advance. Indecision, by contrast, is mental poverty. It is the chief thief of time, energy, and opportunity. The man who hesitates twice pays the price of delay. Each day he reconsiders. He divides his mind in two, half advancing, half retreating, until both halves cancel each other. The indecisive mind builds castles in the air and wonders why the ground remains empty. It dreams but never constructs. To think definitely is to command. To think vaguely is to beg. The man who says, "I will someday be successful," has already confessed confusion. The man who says, "I will build this enterprise within this year serving this purpose," has already issued a law to the universe. Infinite intelligence does not respond to uncertainty. It responds to decision. But decision must be built upon understanding. Definiteness does not mean stubbornness. It means clarity. The definite thinker knows what he wants because he has studied himself. He understands his strengths, his calling, his motive. He aligns desire with purpose and purpose with service. The confused man wants wealth for display. The definite man wants wealth for construction. The first pursues vanity. The second builds civilization. Each morning, the definite thinker writes his purpose anew. He reads it aloud until it burns like a brand upon his mind. He carries it through the day as a soldier carries orders. He measures each act by one question: does this advance my aim? If it does, he acts. If it does not, he refuses. His energy accumulates because it is never scattered. This is the mathematics of success. Concentration multiplies. Diffusion divides. The mind, like sunlight, warms little when scattered, but burns when concentrated through a single lens. The definite man turns his attention into fire. Every plan he touches ignites. Every obstacle melts. To the world, he seems lucky. To law, he is merely obedient. Luck is the name the drifting give to discipline. Definite thought is also moral power. It eliminates confusion of motive. The man who knows what he stands for cannot be bought or persuaded from his path. His integrity becomes visible in his calmness. When others gossip, he is silent. When others rush, he measures. His definiteness gives him dignity, and dignity commands respect. People follow him not for his wealth, but for his certainty. Yet definiteness requires courage. To decide means to cut away alternatives. The very word decision comes from a root meaning to cut off. It is mental surgery, the removal of indecision and fear. Each choice eliminates the noise of the unnecessary. Weak men keep options open. Strong men close them and proceed. Law favors motion. Think of Ford once more. When advisors warned him that a car for the common man was impossible, he simply said, "We will build it anyway." When engineers told him the 8-cylinder engine could not be made, he replied, "Produce it." He was not arrogant. He was definite. His belief drew forth inventions that had never existed. The law of definiteness gave birth to machinery that reshaped the world. Every invention, every discovery, every fortune begins as one clear thought that refuses distraction. The thought becomes plan. The plan becomes habit. The habit becomes destiny. The world does not resist the man who knows what he wants. It yields. Confusion is the only true obstacle. Definiteness also organizes emotion. The drifting man feels everything, believes everything, and accomplishes nothing. His emotions are wild horses without harness. The definite man tames them into service. He feels deeply, but always in one direction. His enthusiasm becomes strength because it is guided by purpose. Emotion without direction burns out. Emotion under direction burns through. Many people fail not because they lack effort, but because they scatter it. They try many things half-heartedly, never mastering one. They chase trends, copy others, and wonder why success eludes them. They are like ships changing course at every wind. The definite man fixes his compass once and sails until he reaches land. The storm may delay him, but it cannot turn him. To cultivate definiteness, begin with a single command. What do I want and why? Write it with precision. The clearer the thought, the stronger the current it releases. The subconscious mind must have exact orders. It is a perfect servant, but a poor master. Vague instructions confuse it. Clear ones mobilize it. A definite purpose repeated daily becomes a living intelligence guiding all action. Repeat your purpose aloud each morning and night. Let it enter your voice, your gesture, your very manner. When you speak it, believe it. When you believe it, act it. Soon every thought will conform to that command. Every doubt will fade because it will have no room to live. Your mind cannot serve two purposes any more than your body can walk two roads at once. The definite man is not easily distracted by criticism. He hears opinions, but he does not obey them. The world's noise cannot penetrate a mind closed by decision. Critics may laugh at him today, but they will study him tomorrow. The masses always mock vision until they see its fruits. When the results appear, they call it genius. Definiteness of thought also protects against temptation. The mind that knows its direction cannot be lured by every glittering distraction. The man of purpose saves his strength, his speech, his time. His days move with the rhythm of intention. He has mastered the art of saying no, not from pride, but from principle. He knows that each no strengthens his next yes. As definiteness deepens, life begins to simplify. Problems shrink, choices become clear, fear evaporates. You no longer ask, "Can I succeed?" but "How soon shall I?" The subconscious begins arranging circumstances like a servant preparing a feast. You need only supply the menu. Infinite intelligence delights in a definite mind. It cannot help a drifting one. Definiteness is faith made practical. It is belief translated into blueprint. It is the quiet authority that turns someday into now. To think definitely is to act before proof appears, knowing that law fulfills every clear command. The man of definiteness does not beg for opportunity. He builds it. His decisions are his prayers and his actions their answers. Each time you fix a clear thought and obey it, you strengthen your mental muscle. Each time you hesitate, you weaken it. Decision grows through use. Begin with small acts. Decide your schedule, your reading, your associations. Keep every promise you make to yourself. This builds inner authority. The man who cannot command himself will never command circumstance. In time, you will notice how people respond differently to you. They will sense order in your tone, reliability in your word, direction in your presence. Businessmen will trust you without proof. Friends will respect you without argument. And opportunities will appear where before there was none. Law favors definiteness because definiteness resembles law itself. Definiteness also creates serenity. When you know where you're going, you no longer rush. The anxious man exhausts himself trying to decide. The definite man conserves his strength by having already decided. Peace is not inactivity. It is direction without conflict. The definite mind moves steadily, calmly, like a river carving stone. Its quiet persistence shapes the world. Remember, the greatest waste of life is indecision. Each hour spent wondering could be spent building. Each day of hesitation is a day stolen from progress. You cannot drift into greatness. You must decide into it. Decide once, truly, and the energy you free from doubt will accomplish what years of hesitation never could. Say now within yourself, I think clearly, I act definitely, I command wealth through precision. Let it become your inner decree. Write your purpose. Read it aloud each dawn. Review it each night. Hold it until it becomes the pulse of your being. Soon, you will no longer ask how success will come. You will know that it must. For law obeys definiteness as surely as shadow obeys light. The world belongs to the man who knows precisely what he desires and moves in harmony with that knowledge. Decide, and the universe decides with you. Part 4. The invisible engine of desire. Desire is the invisible engine of every empire, the pulse of creation that moves men from thought into achievement. Nothing begins until desire stirs, and nothing endures unless desire continues. It is the divine current that animates faith, fuels persistence, and transforms a silent dream into a visible fact. You may master every law of success, but without desire you will remain a well-built machine without fire. There is a difference between wishing and wanting. Wishing is idle motion. Wanting is organized flame. Wishing says, I would like to have. Desire declares, I will have. The weak man wishes because he fears disappointment. The strong man desires because he sees through law. The one prays for opportunity. The other commands it through the vibration of his purpose. Every atom in the universe moves in obedience to some desire. The seed desires the sun. The river desires the sea. The mind of man desires to create. This is not greed. It is divine progression. Growth itself is desire in motion. To repress noble desire is to deny the intelligence that gave you life. To direct it is to harmonize with infinite intelligence. The man who desires rightly becomes co-creator with the source that formed him. The poor man calls desire dangerous. The wise man calls it sacred. Desire is the heartbeat of evolution, the builder of every civilization. But only when disciplined by faith does it build. When corrupted by fear, it destroys. Desire ungoverned becomes appetite. Desire organized becomes destiny. The first consumes, the second creates. Rockefeller's fortune was not born from oil. It was born from an idea disciplined by desire. From the moment he entered business, he sought not profit, but perfection. He desired efficiency as the sculptor desires form. Every barrel, every process, every plan served that single hunger for order. The wealth that followed was only the echo of his desire made definite. Desire is the true electricity of thought. It gives energy to faith and life to imagination. Thought without desire is cold metal. Desire heats it until it bends the universe to its will, but you must learn to control its flame. Too little heat and the metal remains rigid. Too much and it melts into chaos. The balanced mind regulates desire as an engineer regulates fire, strong enough to move the engine, calm enough to prevent destruction. Most men live with their desires asleep. They smother them beneath routine, caution, or fear of criticism. They call it humility to want little, but in truth, it is cowardice. The man who refuses to desire deeply has surrendered before he has begun. He drifts in mediocrity, waiting for life to give him what it reserves only for those who burn for it. To awaken greatness, you must first awaken desire. Go alone into silence and ask yourself, what do I truly want? Do not answer with words borrowed from society. Ask until the reply comes from within, until it burns with certainty. You will know the true desire when it excites your imagination, strengthens your courage, and silences your fear. That desire is the voice of your purpose. Desire is divine when it serves creation. Every great benefactor of mankind has been possessed by a sacred want. Edison to bring light, Ford to give motion, Carnegie to build opportunity. Their desires were not for possession, but for expression. They wished not to have, but to become. Their fortunes were only symbols of usefulness magnified by law. Emotion gives life to thought, and desire is emotion organized toward purpose. The subconscious obeys feeling before it obeys reason. You may think 1,000 truths coldly and see no result, but one truth felt deeply will move mountains. The heart is the dynamo that powers the machinery of the mind. When you feel success is already achieved, the subconscious begins constructing it in silence. The man who fears to desire is like a farmer who refuses to plant. The soil of the subconscious remains fertile whether you use it or not. If you neglect it, weeds of worry grow. If you cultivate it, harvest follows. Every thought repeated with emotion is a seed. Every feeling sustained is water. Every action aligned is sunlight. You cannot escape the law of growth. You can only decide what to grow. Desire must be disciplined, for without direction it becomes greed, obsession, or restlessness. The rich man you should imitate is not the one who hungers for possession, but the one who hungers for mastery. The wise desire not luxury, but freedom, not applause, but power to serve. The mature desire burns steady and clear. It does not flare in impulse or fade in disappointment. This is why the truly rich are calm. Their desire has matured into conviction. They no longer chase, they attract. They no longer beg for success, they embody it. Their quiet confidence is the still flame that lights the way for others. They understand that true desire is not a shout, it is a vow whispered to law and obeyed without hesitation. You must learn the method of emotionalization. Each night before rest, see your definite purpose as complete. Feel the joy, the gratitude, the peace that would accompany its realization. Do not plead for it. Claim it. Act in imagination as though you were already living it. The subconscious accepts this as fact and begins to rearrange every detail of your reality to match it. This is not fantasy, it is discipline. The great difference between dreamers and creators is repetition. Dreamers feel once and forget. Creators feel daily until the feeling becomes identity. The subconscious builds in proportion to emotional intensity and duration. The longer you hold the feeling of success, the faster success must appear. Desire, faith, and persistence form the trinity of achievement. Desire supplies fire. Faith gives direction. Persistence keeps the flame alive through storms. Without desire, faith has no fuel. Without faith, desire burns aimlessly. Without persistence, both fade in darkness. These three, harmonized, create invincible power. You may have been taught that desire is dangerous, that it leads to pride or disappointment. That is false humility, the teaching of fear disguised as virtue. The only danger in desire lies in its misuse. If directed toward selfish ends, it collapses under its own weight. If dedicated to service, it becomes divine power in motion. The man who desires to lift others inevitably lifts himself. Remember always, the subconscious does not distinguish between noble and selfish desires. It fulfills whatever is repeated with conviction. It is your task to choose your motive wisely. The higher the motive, the purer the power. Carnegie built his fortune upon service and spent his later years giving it back. He understood that desire must complete its circle: creation, realization, contribution. This rhythm preserves balance and peace. When your desire serves life, life serves your desire. Infinite intelligence delights in expansion. Every new idea, every new business, every act of creation is the universe expressing itself through you. To desire magnificently is to cooperate with the very reason for existence. Desire also purifies character. When you want something strongly enough to pay the price in effort, patience, and discipline, you refine your will. The process of pursuit chisels weakness from your nature. That is why great ambition ennobles even before it succeeds. The struggle strengthens the spirit. You will know your desire is right when persistence feels natural and waiting feels purposeful. When impatience disappears and calm urgency replaces it, you have entered the vibration of creation. The man who burns with undisciplined want is anxious. The man who burns with definite desire is serene. He knows his dream is inevitable. He does not beg the soil to sprout. Practice this law daily. Each morning, write one statement of what you truly desire. Read it aloud with emotion. Visualize it as complete. Then act in harmony with that image throughout the day. At night, close your eyes and repeat it again with gratitude, as though thanking law for what already exists in unseen form. Do this until you no longer hope, but know. You will feel a shift. The thought will cease to be an idea and become a certainty. You will wake each morning with quiet direction, your mind alert to opportunity, your steps guided by invisible coordination. Coincidences will appear, helpers will arrive, obstacles will rearrange themselves. Desire, once disciplined, becomes magnetic. Others will sense it in you. They will not understand it, but they will feel it. They will trust you without knowing why. The man of desire possesses an invisible gravity. He pulls without effort, persuades without argument, leads without demand. His confidence commands cooperation. He no longer needs to announce his dreams. The world works with him to fulfill them. If you doubt this law, observe a man without desire. He drifts, hesitates, depends upon others for permission. His speech lacks conviction. His eyes lack light. His presence carries no influence. Without desire, even intelligence decays into passivity. The universe cannot help a man who will not move. Do not fear wanting much. Fear only wanting nothing. Small desires create small lives. Life itself urges you to grow, to build, to extend your reach. To suppress that impulse is to oppose creation. But let your desire be pure, born of purpose, disciplined by faith, and sustained by service. That is the formula of greatness. Repeat often, my desire is disciplined fire. It burns but never destroys. Say it when you wake, when you falter, when you rest. Feel the truth of it. Each repetition strengthens control. Each feeling renews energy. You will come to sense that your desire is not merely yours. It is life itself seeking expression through you. In time, the world will mirror your inner fire. Opportunities will appear where once there was emptiness. People will be drawn to your certainty as cold hands to a flame. They will sense in you what every soul craves, a man who knows what he wants and dares to want it nobly. That is power. That is leadership. So let desire live within you as a sacred flame. Feed it with purpose, protect it with faith, and guide it with discipline. For when desire and law walk together, nothing in heaven or earth can stand against them. Part 5, the discipline of inner command. Before a man may command fortune, he must first command himself. The world bends not to wishes, but to order, and order begins within. The mind without discipline is like a city without walls, exposed to every invading doubt and passing emotion. But the man who rules his thought rules his destiny, for he is aligned with the highest law, the law of self-government. The undisciplined man exhausts his strength fighting shadows. He argues with circumstance, resists correction, and wastes his creative force in the storms of emotion. He is not defeated by others, but by the rebellion of his own faculties. His thoughts pull him one way, his feelings another, his will sleeps in confusion. He mistakes movement for progress and passion for purpose. Until his mind obeys him, he cannot command results. Self-control is the iron gate of power. It does not close upon liberty, it opens to mastery. The weak man believes freedom means doing as he pleases. The wise man knows freedom means doing as he decides. The first is a slave to appetite, mood, and habit. The second is master of each. He rises above the animal within and becomes a conscious creator. This victory is greater than wealth, for all other victories depend upon it. You may conquer cities, gain crowns, and gather riches. But if you are defeated by anger, fear, or vanity, you remain poor in spirit. Wealth cannot stay with one who cannot govern himself. Law refuses to entrust abundance to chaos. The universe respects only the mind that mirrors its own order. When your thought and feeling move as one, your world follows. When they rebel against each other, your life reflects that discord. Abraham Lincoln was not remembered for his wealth, but for his mastery of self. While storms of hatred and war surrounded him, he stood calm, patient, and deliberate. His power lay not in force, but in restraint. He answered anger with quietness and criticism with labor. In his silence there was strength. In his composure, command. The man who cannot be provoked cannot be defeated. Discipline begins with thought. Each morning, test your mind as a commander tests his troops. Ask, do my thoughts obey my purpose, or do they wander like untrained soldiers? If they drift, recall them with will. Replace each negative with a definite positive. Say, this is my command and my mind obeys. Repeat it until thought itself becomes orderly. This is not mere affirmation. It is education of the will. The subconscious mind is a loyal servant but an unwise master. If you allow it to act without guidance, it repeats the oldest patterns of fear and failure. But if you give it daily instruction, it becomes your silent general, executing your plans with precision. Self-discipline is not repression. It is intelligent direction. It does not kill emotion. It assigns it to its rightful duty. Emotion is the raw material of creation. It can build or destroy depending on who leads it. Under self-command, passion becomes energy, courage, enthusiasm. Without command, it turns into anger, lust, and despair. Every emotion that ever ruled a man was once meant to serve him. When feeling obeys reason and reason obeys purpose, the man becomes a power on earth. The habit of inner control must be built through small victories. Begin with your words. Speak only when speech advances your purpose. Silence is a builder, idle talk a thief. Every word you utter trains your mind to obey or disobey. The man who cannot govern his tongue cannot govern his fate. Each morning decide that your speech will carry order, not complaint, confidence, not fear. Next, govern your tone. The voice reveals the state of mind. Speak too quickly, and it betrays haste. Too loudly, and it reveals insecurity. Too softly, and it signals doubt. The calm voice commands respect, not through power of sound, but through power of certainty. Those who master their tone master the vibration they send into the world, and vibration is the language of law. Guard also your reactions. When provoked, pause. The instant between stimulus and response is the testing ground of mastery. Every man can act when calm. Only the strong remain calm when challenged. When others shout, be silent. When others rush, wait. When others doubt, decide. Each act of restraint deposits strength into the bank of will. Every day offers such opportunities to practice sovereignty. The disciplined man does not quarrel with emotion. He harnesses it. Anger becomes determination. Fear becomes vigilance. Sorrow becomes wisdom. The alchemy of mastery transforms every weakness into power. This is the true philosopher's stone, not myth, but mental chemistry. Nothing is wasted in the disciplined mind. Every impulse is transmuted into achievement. Without inner command, faith collapses. Without discipline, persistence fades. Desire without restraint burns itself out. You must, therefore, learn to govern energy as a conductor governs electricity. The same current that powers the city can destroy it if unregulated. The same fire that forges steel can also consume the forge. Discipline is the regulator of spiritual power. Some men believe that passion and freedom are enough to succeed. But passion without control is a wind that destroys its own sail. Freedom without self-government is chaos. It is not the speed of the horse, but the steadiness of the rider that determines victory. Life yields not to the reckless, but to the ruled from within by order and will. The world mistakes quietness for weakness, but silence is the armor of the strong. The man who must prove himself through noise does not yet believe in himself. The disciplined man does not announce his strength, he displays it through steadiness. He acts as naturally as the sun rises, with certainty, without haste, without apology. His calmness commands more than 1,000 arguments. Do not think discipline denies joy, it refines it. The uncontrolled mind seeks pleasure. The mastered mind creates fulfillment. The one consumes without gratitude. The other builds with purpose. Discipline multiplies enjoyment because it frees you from the slavery of impulse. The man who rules himself may taste life fully, for nothing rules him. The habit of composure extends to all areas of wealth. The disciplined thinker does not rush into speculation, nor chase fortune by excitement. He studies, decides, and acts according to plan. He measures risk by principle, not emotion. While others panic at loss or boast at gain, he remains the same. Fortune serves him because he serves law. His calmness is confidence made visible. The practice of self-command also includes the mastery of time. To waste hours is to betray purpose. The disciplined man treats every moment as sacred currency. He spends it deliberately, invests it wisely, and never squanders it on triviality. He knows that wealth begins not in possessions, but in the wise use of time, for time is the raw material of destiny. When you rise each morning, begin with order. Arrange your thoughts as you would arrange tools before labor. Write your plan. Commit to it. Refuse to be pulled by distraction or emotion. The day belongs to the man who commands its first hour. Likewise, close each evening in reflection. Ask, did my thoughts obey my aim? Did I rule my moods, or did they rule me? This daily audit builds authority of character. The disciplined mind soon becomes a fortress of peace. No insult can shake it. No fear can enter. It stands as calm as a mountain surrounded by storms, yet unmoved. From this stillness, decisions flow naturally. Confidence is not noise, it is control. Others will sense it before you speak. They will trust your judgment, not because you demand it, but because you deserve it. This inner command also governs relationships. The man of discipline draws loyalty by example. He does not need to persuade. He inspires through steadiness. His subordinates work better because they feel his order. His friends confide because his calm invites confidence. The disordered mind repels. The ordered mind attracts. Peace is the magnet of prosperity. You may wonder, how do I build such discipline when I've been long without it? Begin where you are. Choose one weakness and master it. Perhaps impatience, perhaps indulgence, perhaps distraction. Do not attempt to conquer all at once. Law respects order. The strength gained from one victory multiplies into the next. In time you will rule not a part of yourself, but the whole kingdom of mind. Whenever weakness tempts you, remind yourself, I command myself, therefore all things obey. Speak it as a decree, not a plea. Say it until it feels like truth. The subconscious will hear and adjust. You will feel your composure returning. The muscles of the face will relax. The pulse will steady. The mind will clear. That is self-control reestablishing its throne. True discipline is not rigidity. It is flexibility under law. The oak that resists the wind breaks. The bamboo that bends survives. The disciplined man knows when to yield without surrender, when to wait without fear, when to act without haste. His mind, like water, adapts to circumstance but never loses its shape. It flows through every obstacle because it understands that resistance wastes power. Lincoln's patience was not passivity. It was strength under restraint. He acted only when the moment was ripe and never allowed anger to dictate timing. So must you. Discipline is knowing when to hold and when to release, when to speak and when to remain silent. It is the art of timing applied to the art of life. The reward of inner command is not only success, but serenity. To the disciplined man, peace is not escape, it is mastery. He does not retire from the world, he governs it from within. His calm becomes contagious, his presence reassuring. While others rush toward confusion, he remains composed, a living reminder that power belongs to the governed mind. You will know you have mastered this principle when adversity no longer disturbs your balance. When loss fails to create panic and praise fails to inflate pride. Then you have found your center, the throne of self. From that throne, you rule all that was once chaos. Discipline, in its highest form, is harmony. It is the perfect cooperation of thought, emotion, and will. It is the silence between impulse and action, the rhythm between purpose and execution. In this harmony lies divine power. The man who achieves it becomes one with law itself, and law serves him gladly. Repeat this affirmation until it becomes the very rhythm of your heartbeat. I command myself, therefore all things obey. Let it echo through your mind whenever anger stirs, whenever doubt whispers, whenever fear approaches. With each repetition, you forge another link in the chain of mastery. When discipline rules your thought, your life becomes a masterpiece. Others will see in you the calm authority of one who cannot be moved by chance. They will feel safe in your presence, for order radiates assurance. You will no longer chase success. Success will recognize its reflection in you and come willingly. For the law is simple. He who rules himself rules all. Part 6. The Science of Silent Influence. There is a law more subtle than all others, yet more powerful than any, the law of silent influence. It moves without noise, persuades without argument, and commands without demand. You have felt it in the presence of certain men. A calm assurance that makes you trust them without knowing why. That feeling is not charm nor chance. It is the vibration of character, the radiance of an ordered mind. Every man emits an atmosphere, invisible yet tangible. It is the sum of his habitual thoughts, emotions, and motives. Before he speaks, others feel it. Before he decides, the air around him announces whether he is to be trusted or avoided. Words may deceive, but vibration never lies. What you are inwardly, you broadcast constantly to the world, and the world answers according to that broadcast. This invisible influence is the true secret of leadership. Men follow not those who shout the loudest, but those who radiate conviction. They sense in such presence a stillness that promises safety. The calm man commands because calmness resembles law, and all life gravitates toward order. The anxious repel, the balanced attract. The unsteady confuse, the definite clarify. Your very energy becomes a form of wealth when disciplined by inner peace. Charles M. Schwab, who rose from laborer to industrial giant, mastered this art. Those who worked with him said his presence alone lifted morale. He seldom raised his voice, seldom scolded. His faith in men was contagious, his optimism a living current. When he entered a room, men straightened their posture. When he spoke, they leaned forward. His success was not merely knowledge, it was vibration made visible through confidence and goodwill. Influence, rightly understood, is a moral force. It cannot be faked. Flattery imitates it poorly. Manipulation counterfeits it and soon collapses. True influence proceeds from harmony between inner thought and outer action. When what you believe, feel, and express are one, you generate a magnetic current that all recognize, though few can name. This is why hypocrisy destroys power. Disunity breaks the circuit of confidence. The subconscious mind projects every dominant thought outward. Fear radiates fear. Anger radiates resistance. Faith radiates cooperation. You need not announce your belief. It travels before you. People feel your secret attitude before they hear your words. To attract trust, you must first become trustworthy within. To inspire faith, you must first dwell in faith yourself. You can give only what you are. Begin to observe this law in daily life. Notice how some men brighten the atmosphere of a room while others cloud it. The one brings composure, the other confusion. The first adds order to every conversation. The second drains it through complaint. The difference lies not in speech, but in vibration. Each has built his mental climate through years of repetition. Influence is nothing more than habit broadcast through energy. This law also governs prosperity. Wealth moves toward minds that radiate harmony because harmony promises productivity. The employer hires confidence, not fear. The investor follows stability, not desperation. Money itself is a form of energy-seeking structure, and it flows where order is felt. To attract fortune, you must become peace in motion. The man who carries tension repels opportunity as surely as magnet repels magnet when reversed in pole. Do not mistake quietness for weakness. Silent influence is not submission, but control. The ocean is silent in its depths, yet it supports all life. The man who speaks little but radiates certainty moves the world more than the talker who fills it with noise. Force demands. Presence persuades. The one drains energy, the other gives it. When you master yourself, others feel relief in your steadiness and unconsciously align with your will. This principle extends even to business and labor. A foreman who rules through fear breeds resentment. One who rules through calm assurance creates loyalty. A salesman who believes his product radiates faith and sells without strain. One who doubts must shout to be heard. In every field, results are proportionate not to effort alone, but to vibration, the silent tone of belief beneath the visible act. You may ask, how do I cultivate such influence? Begin by practicing daily stillness. Set aside 15 minutes each morning to enter complete quiet. Let your thoughts settle like dust in a clear room. The mind that can rest can rule. In that calm, picture yourself surrounded by a sphere of composure. Feel gratitude for what is already yours. Gratitude is the mother of magnetic peace. From it, confidence grows naturally. The second practice is sincerity. Speak only what you mean. Promise only what you intend to fulfill. Each broken word cracks your spiritual foundation. The world trusts the man whose words match his results, even when they disagree with him. Consistency creates confidence. Inconsistency breeds resistance. Influence travels on the current of truth. Third, maintain goodwill. A mind filled with criticism poisons its own vibration. The critic may be clever, but he is powerless. His energy is inverted. He tears down what he should build. Replace judgment with understanding. Wish others success, and you align yourself with the current that creates it. Goodwill is not sentiment. It is sound business. No man rises by hating those above him. When you practice goodwill, your tone changes. The sharpness leaves your voice. The light returns to your eyes. People feel better after speaking with you, and that is the surest sign of power. The man who lifts others with his presence becomes a center of prosperity. Life increases whatever increases life. Fourth, learn the discipline of controlled attention. Wherever your attention rests, energy flows. If you dwell on worry, you feed weakness. If you focus on purpose, you feed strength. The mind trained in concentration emits a steady signal. It no longer flickers between fear and faith. This is why meditation and prayer, rightly practiced, multiply influence. They steady the mental current until it glows with authority. Fifth, cultivate moral purity. By this I mean harmony between motive and action. A selfish plan may succeed for a time, but will always collapse. For corruption repels cooperation. The man whose motive is service aligns with infinite intelligence, and all things cooperate with him. The vibration of honesty draws honest allies. Deceit attracts deceivers. You cannot escape the reflection of your intent. Consider again the example of Schwab. He rose not by cunning, but by cheerfulness. His goodwill was genuine, his enthusiasm sincere. He believed in men, and men gave him their best. He radiated such confidence that even mistakes became stepping stones. This was not accident. It was character in vibration. The same law that governs magnet and metal governs man and circumstance. Influence also depends on the quality of thought you entertain when alone. The secret resentments, the unspoken fears, the quiet doubts, all these become invisible broadcasts. You cannot conceal vibration behind polite words. Purify your private thought, and your public influence will transform without effort. Every day, cleanse the mind through gratitude and prayer. Forgive, and the energy you release will return as opportunity. When your inner life becomes peaceful, your outer life becomes powerful. People will approach you with respect they cannot explain. Strangers will find comfort in your presence. Your business dealings will flow with fewer obstacles. Enemies will soften or remove themselves without conflict. This is not superstition. It is vibration aligning with law. Peace attracts harmony as surely as discord attracts discord. The untrained mind attempts to dominate through noise and assertion. The trained mind influences through calmness and consistency. The one demands belief, the other invites it. The one argues for position, the other stands so firmly in truth that argument dissolves. That is the difference between force and presence. Force ends when attention ceases. Presence endures. The truly magnetic man does not seek to impress, he seeks to express law. His thought, speech, and gesture are unified. He enters each room without hurry, looks upon others with interest rather than judgment, and listens more than he speaks. His stillness gives others permission to calm themselves. They mistake it for kindness, but it is law operating through harmony. When you begin to practice this, you will notice immediate changes. Where before there was friction, there will be ease. Where conversation once strained, it will now flow. People will remember your manner more than your words. They will associate you with reliability, even when you have not asked for trust. This is the invisible dividend of spiritual order. This same law governs wealth itself. Investors, partners, and customers all sense the vibration of integrity. They may not speak of it, but they feel it. When your tone is sure and your presence calm, they believe in your future as they believe in their own safety. Money follows peace because peace ensures continuity. Panic breeds loss. Serenity breeds accumulation. To strengthen this influence, keep your physical environment in order. Disorder in surroundings weakens inner vibration. The man who cannot rule his desk cannot rule his destiny. The neat workshop, the clean ledger, the measured step, these are outward reflections of inward control. The law of harmony demands consistency in both worlds. As you advance in this practice, you will find that your influence extends even beyond sight. Letters will bring unexpected goodwill. Opportunities will appear from distant contacts. Thought travels faster than speech, and faith travels faster than thought. Every definite belief you hold releases a current that circles back multiplied. This is why I say, keep your inner tone pure, for the universe echoes it endlessly. You must also understand that silent influence requires patience. The seed of character ripens slowly but surely. You cannot rush trust any more than you can rush sunrise. Each day of consistency strengthens your field of energy. Continue your habits of calm, gratitude, and sincerity, and soon you will find that you no longer try to influence. You simply do. Some may call this mysticism, but it is the most practical law of all. The salesman, the teacher, the leader, the artist, all depend on it. Every act of persuasion is vibration transferred from one mind to another. The stronger current always dominates. Therefore, make yours pure and steady. A single quiet conviction is stronger than 1,000 loud opinions. When you have reached mastery in this law, you will discover that you need no longer defend or promote yourself. Life will promote you. Reputation will precede you like fragrance before the flower. Doors will open because your vibration fits the atmosphere within. You will find that you are not chasing success, but attracting it naturally as a flame attracts attention. Repeat within yourself this affirmation of silent mastery. My peace is power. My presence is wealth. Speak it before each day begins. Let it settle into your tone, your breath, your thought. When you enter any situation, carry it as your unseen signature. You will notice that others respond as if guided by unseen agreement. They will cooperate not from persuasion, but from alignment. The science of silent influence is the crown of all other disciplines. It is the proof that order within creates harmony without. It is the final evidence that wealth and power are not granted but radiated. And when you have learned to radiate calm faith, service, and integrity, the world will not resist you. It will reflect you. Remember always, the loud are soon forgotten, but the quiet are obeyed forever. Part 7, the law of expansion through service. There is a law written into the heart of the universe so simple that most overlook it. What you give expands, and what you withhold decays. Every great fortune, every enduring success, every name that outlives its owner has been built upon this law of expansion through service. To serve is not submission, it is multiplication. What you do for others in the spirit of growth becomes the seed from which all wealth blooms. Most men confuse service with servitude. They see it as lowering themselves, as surrendering power. In truth, it is the exercise of divine law. The man who serves with excellence commands attention, trust, and reward. He becomes indispensable, and that which is indispensable can never remain poor. The universe itself operates through service. The sun shines without charge. The river flows without complaint. The soil yields without argument. All abundance follows their example. To understand this law is to hold the master key to prosperity. Service is not a moral duty alone. It is a mechanical law of increase. You cannot enrich another without enriching yourself. Each act of genuine giving plants within the subconscious a command to grow. The man who withholds effort, who measures his contribution by what he receives, shrinks his own circle of power. But the man who gives more than he is paid for enlarges it until the world cannot contain his success. Andrew Carnegie built not merely factories, but a philosophy of service. He declared that the man who dies rich dies disgraced. His steel empire was only a tool. His true ambition was usefulness. When wealth came in torrents, he poured it back into libraries, schools, and foundations. His name endures not because he was rich, but because he became a channel through which riches served others. The fortune that flows outward renews itself. The fortune hoarded turns to dust. Service is the proof of faith. Faith that the law of compensation never fails. The man who fears to give doubts the justice of life. He imagines loss where law guarantees return. The wise man knows that giving is not depletion, but investment. Every thought, every hour, every act of helpfulness sends forth an unseen current that returns multiplied. The timid see only the moment of outflow. The believer sees the inevitable inflow that follows. No empire has ever stood upon selfishness. History buries those who took without giving. Yet those who built with the intention to uplift, Edison lighting homes, Ford freeing movement, Rockefeller organizing industry, Carnegie spreading knowledge, still live in the blessings they created. Their service became their immortality. Greatness is measured not by how much a man possesses, but by how much he contributes. To live by this law, you must reverse the common attitude of gain first, service later. The average man says, when I am paid more, I will give more. The wise man says, when I give more, I will be paid more. Life pays you not by time, but by value. To increase income, increase usefulness. Every employer, every client, every associate, whether consciously or not, rewards the one who multiplies results beyond expectation. This is why Hill wrote, "The habit of going the extra mile is the greatest insurance policy against poverty." Every additional effort you render builds unseen credit in the mind of law. You may not be paid immediately, but you cannot lose. The universe never forgets effort honestly given. Your reward may appear through other channels from unexpected directions, but it must come because law cannot be cheated. Service is also the truest form of self-respect. The man who serves well respects his own ability. Each task performed with excellence affirms mastery. Neglect or half-hearted effort wounds the soul because it violates the law of growth. You were created for advancement, not stagnation. When you withhold your best, you betray your divine design. When you give your best, you fulfill it. You may have observed that opportunities often come disguised as requests for service. They test your willingness to act beyond duty. The man who sees every small task as a stepping stone will rise. The man who complains about labor remains chained to mediocrity. No service is small when performed greatly. The smallest act done with sincerity carries more power than grand plans never executed. There is a mental magic in cheerful service. When you serve willingly, you magnetize yourself with goodwill. Each act of helpfulness builds invisible allies. People remember how you make them feel, and that memory becomes a bridge for future fortune. Gratitude is wealth, returning in disguise. The sour-faced worker shuts the door to advancement by poisoning his own atmosphere. The one who radiates enthusiasm opens it by law. Service is the practical application of faith, the visible expression of belief in abundance. If you trust the universe, prove it by giving. The miser, fearing loss, builds walls around his possessions and becomes their prisoner. The giver builds channels and becomes their master. Wealth moves like water. It stagnates when hoarded and renews when circulated. This law operates in every field. The teacher who serves his students with genuine care rises above the one who lectures for wage. The merchant who seeks to improve the lives of his customers prospers more than one who seeks only their coins. The leader who serves his men earns loyalty that money cannot buy. When service becomes motive, success becomes automatic. You cannot counterfeit this law. Pretense of service without sincerity deceives only for a time. The motive behind the act determines its harvest. To serve for applause or manipulation is to spend counterfeit coin. To serve for growth is to invest gold. The subconscious knows your motive and repays accordingly. Pure motive produces permanent results. False motive produces temporary illusion. Examine your own thought. Ask yourself daily, do I give more than I take? Do I add more value than I consume? The answer determines your future. Every relationship, every enterprise, every fortune obeys this equation. To receive more, give more. To hold more, circulate more. To command more, serve more. The arithmetic of the universe is exact. Carnegie's fortune multiplied because he understood cooperation. He surrounded himself with men who shared his desire for progress. Each received more than salary. They received opportunity. He knew that success cannot exist in isolation. Cooperation multiplies energy as surely as division destroys it. In his later years, he called this the master mind in action. Individual service united in purpose. Even nature reveals this pattern. The tree serves earth, air, and light. In return, it grows. The bee serves flower and hive. In return, it thrives. The sun serves the earth and receives eternal obedience in orbit. Every form of life increases through contribution. Man alone attempts to reverse the process and then wonders at his poverty. The mind trained in service ceases to compete and begins to create. Competition is the product of fear, the belief in limitation. Service is the expression of faith, the belief in abundance. When you compete, you fight for share. When you serve, you expand the market itself. Service multiplies opportunity for all. It is cooperation with the infinite rather than struggle against the finite. You may say, but the world takes advantage of those who serve too much. Only the unwise are exploited, for wisdom chooses where to give. Service must be guided by intelligence and motive. Give where value can grow. Withdraw where it is wasted. Even infinite intelligence does not water rocks. True service uplifts all involved, giver, receiver, and law itself. The man who serves willingly becomes magnetic. His mind vibrates with assurance. His face radiates calm. People sense that he works for more than pay. They trust him, recommend him, follow him. Opportunity travels on the current of trust. The man who seeks to take advantage of others may rise quickly but falls hard. The man who helps others rise may advance slowly but never falls, for he builds on principle, not chance. The habit of exceeding expectation transforms identity. Each time you render more, your self-image expands. You no longer see yourself as worker, but as creator. That shift in consciousness attracts proportionate conditions. Employers become partners, customers become allies, competitors become collaborators. The law of service transforms enemies into channels of increase. One of the most powerful mental exercises is to begin each day by asking, how may I increase the value of what I give today? Let this question guide your thought. You will find that ideas begin to appear. Small improvements, gestures of kindness, refinements of efficiency. Implement them. Each act raises your vibration and brings you into harmony with progress itself. When you work in this spirit, fatigue lessens. Service given with joy produces energy instead of draining it. The body obeys the motive of the mind. Labor motivated by fear exhausts. Labor driven by faith renews. This is why men like Edison could work for days without rest. Their service thrilled them. They did not toil. They created. The difference was inner attitude. You may notice as you practice that your surroundings begin to mirror your generosity. The people around you grow friendlier, more cooperative. Circumstances flow more smoothly. Life itself becomes easier because you are aligned with its rhythm of giving. Even difficulties become instruments for growth, showing you new ways to serve and thereby to expand. The highest form of service is performed in silence. It seeks no praise, asks no reward, depends on no recognition. Its satisfaction lies in the work itself. When you reach this level, you have touched the essence of infinite intelligence, for creation itself asks no applause. It simply gives. The ocean does not boast of its waves. The sun does not demand gratitude for its light. In giving without expectation, you become divine. Service also purifies ambition. It removes vanity by replacing it with purpose. When you work to serve, criticism no longer wounds, for you labor for law, not opinion. You cease measuring worth by applause and begin measuring it by usefulness. This is the peace known only to the man whose motive is right. You will find that fortune moves faster toward those who forget themselves in service. Life cannot resist the current of genuine contribution. While others strive to be seen, the servant becomes indispensable and is elevated naturally. To work for the good of all is to align with the law that governs all. Repeat this affirmation each morning. I serve willingly, I prosper naturally. Feel the truth of it. As you go through your day, remind yourself that every act, however small, either adds to your wealth or subtracts from it depending on your motive. Choose always to add. Each thought of goodwill is a deposit in the bank of destiny. Do not wait for the great opportunity. Serve in the small ones before you. The man who excels in little tasks attracts larger ones. The world is a perfect accountant. It always promotes competence. If you cannot give greatness to the whole world, give it to one moment, one customer, one task, and law will multiply it beyond measure. Carnegie's libraries began as one decision to share knowledge. Ford's industry began as one decision to serve mobility. Rockefeller's philanthropy began as one decision to organize energy. None began with fortune, all began with purpose. They understood that wealth is only the shadow of service cast backward by law. To expand through service is to live in alignment with the heartbeat of creation. Every law of success, desire, faith, discipline, persistence, reaches its fulfillment in this principle. You rise by lifting. You gain by giving. You expand by serving. And when this truth becomes instinct, success becomes inevitable. Let your life then become a channel for law. Render every act as though infinite intelligence itself were watching, for it is. Speak each word as though it might echo forever, for it will. Treat every man as a partner in growth, every task as a chance to prove your faith in abundance. In so doing, you will not only create fortune, but character, and character is the only wealth that endures. In the quiet of the night, as you reflect upon your day, ask, did I increase life for another? If the answer is yes, you have served well and law will remember. If not, decide to correct it tomorrow. Each day is an opportunity to contribute, and contribution is the price of greatness. When your mind and heart unite in this motive, a transformation occurs. You will find that worry about reward disappears, replaced by certainty. You will feel the flow of life moving through you, effortless, generous, unstoppable. You will cease to chase wealth because you will have become its source. This is the true secret of abundance, to become a fountain, not a reservoir. Let your energy, your knowledge, your goodwill flow outward freely. The more you give, the more channels law must open to return it multiplied. The miser starves beside his hoard. The giver feasts beside his stream. Repeat once more the affirmation that seals this law into consciousness. I serve willingly. I prosper naturally. Say it with calm conviction as a vow rather than a wish. Speak it each morning before your labor and each night before rest. Let it remind you that your prosperity is not dependent on others, but on law. You serve law when you serve life, and so the circle continues, from thought to act, from act to abundance, from abundance to greater service. This is the rhythm of eternal wealth. Part 8, the rhythm of persistence and peace. There is a force in nature stronger than talent, greater than genius, and more certain than luck. It is persistence. Yet true persistence is not strain. It is not frantic effort or desperate repetition. It is rhythm, the steady, calm, unbroken beat of purpose expressed through faith. The man who learns to move in rhythm with law no longer forces results. He cooperates with the eternal tide of progress. Most men think of persistence as mere endurance, a grim clinging to hope in the face of defeat. But persistence is not stubborn resistance. It is intelligent continuity. It is faith in motion, peace in action. It is the quiet assurance that every repetition of truth builds momentum, that every day devoted to purpose compounds power. The man who persists wisely never hurries, never wavers, never quits. He moves with the confidence of sunrise. Edison understood this rhythm. He did not hammer against the law of electricity. He worked with it patiently, faithfully, until the current revealed itself. 10,000 experiments did not exhaust him because he never fought failure. Each setback was part of the harmony. He knew that nature hides her secrets from the impatient, but reveals them to the consistent. Persistence is simply the will refusing to lose tempo. The untrained mind tires because it resists law. It works in bursts of emotion and collapses in doubt. The disciplined mind endures because it flows. It moves through effort as the river moves toward the sea, constant, unhurried, unstoppable. The man who persists in peace multiplies his energy instead of depleting it. He no longer battles circumstance, he directs it. Peace is the hidden side of persistence. Without peace, persistence degenerates into struggle. Without persistence, peace becomes stagnation. Combined, they form the perfect rhythm of success. Peace provides steadiness. Persistence provides motion. The first anchors you to law, the second propels you through it. The heartbeat of greatness is composed of both, the calm will that never ceases. You must learn to work without anxiety, to strive without tension, to advance without haste. The anxious worker burns out his own faith. He doubts in silence while pretending to believe. His hurried mind tells the subconscious that he fears delay, and so delay becomes real. But the calm worker radiates confidence. His faith does not depend on evidence. He acts as one who knows that law cannot fail. When a man plants a seed, he does not pull it from the soil each day to check its progress. He trusts the unseen process. That trust is peace. He continues watering, continues weeding, continues tending. That is persistence. The harvest belongs to such men. Faith in law, practiced daily in stillness, becomes the pulse of progress itself. Every great builder moves to this rhythm. Carnegie planned silently, but worked daily. Ford visualized unceasingly, but acted patiently. Rockefeller organized methodically, but waited calmly. They did not rush, they refined. Each knew that true persistence is not noise, but constancy. The law of success rewards those who resemble it, steadfast, deliberate, and unwavering. The weak man tries once, fails, and calls it fate. The strong man tries 1,000 times and calls each failure information. He understands that the law records every effort faithfully, even those that appear fruitless. No right action is wasted. The results may delay, but they never vanish. They accumulate unseen until one final act unlocks them all. What the world calls sudden success is only the visible bloom of long persistence. There is peace in knowing that no effort in harmony with law can fail. Failure exists only for the impatient. The man who persists has already succeeded, for persistence itself is mastery. When you continue calmly toward your purpose despite appearance, you have conquered fear, doubt, and discouragement. You have proven faith by endurance. To cultivate this rhythm, begin each morning in silence. Sit for a few moments before the day begins. Breathe evenly. Repeat quietly. I persist calmly. Success follows surely. Feel its truth. Then, without rush, move into your work. Let each action be deliberate. Do not allow urgency to enter your tone or movement. The calm mind accomplishes more in 1 hour than the restless in a day. During your labor, maintain awareness of rhythm. Work for a period, then pause. Breathe, review, refocus, then resume. This alternation mirrors nature, day and night, ebb and flow, inhale and exhale. Rest is not retreat, it is renewal. Many men break their will because they mistake tension for strength. The oak that never bends shatters in the storm. The willow, flexible yet rooted, survives every wind. Persistence guided by peace does not demand, it attracts. The frantic worker chases success as though it were a fugitive. The persistent worker walks calmly, knowing success walks beside him. Opportunity does not favor noise. It follows quiet confidence. The world's greatest builders were often men of few words but endless patience. They understood that law moves at its own perfect pace. The impatient cry, "When will it come?" The persistent say, "It is coming." The impatient demand proof, the persistent supply it. Impatience is confession of doubt. Persistence is proof of faith. The moment you demand haste, you have betrayed unbelief. The law cannot yield fruit to the hand that trembles in doubt. Be still, and the current will carry you. Persistence is the opposite of resignation. To persist is not to accept defeat, but to transform it. Each disappointment becomes instruction. Each obstacle becomes material. When a door closes, persistence builds another. The man who understands law never feels trapped. He knows that infinite intelligence leaves no idea without a path. To find it, one must simply keep moving forward in faith. Edison once said, "Our greatest weakness lies in giving up." The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time. That one more time is the difference between mediocrity and greatness. Success rarely announces itself. It hides behind the final trial. The man who endures that last disappointment without bitterness earns his victory by law. Persistence must also be emotional. Many men work steadily but lose faith inwardly. They continue action but cease believing. Such labor becomes mechanical and empty. True persistence keeps the heart alive while the hands labor. It is devotion, not mere duty. Every stroke of effort carries confidence. Every repetition reinforces conviction. The worker becomes artist. The task becomes worship. The law of rhythm applies equally to adversity and success. There are seasons of growth and seasons of rest. When progress seems slow, do not despair. You are in the season of planting. When results appear, do not boast. You are in the season of harvest. Both are sacred. Both are necessary. The wise man welcomes each phase with gratitude. The impatient man curses the rhythm and reaps confusion. You cannot rush natural law. The sunrise will not come faster because you shout for it. Your role is preparation, not panic. Keep faith steady, keep action constant, and the dawn will arrive in its appointed time. The man who can wait without worry is already rich in mind. Patience is possession of power in advance. When the rhythm of persistence becomes habit, effort feels effortless. You will notice that your energy no longer spikes and falls. Inspiration becomes steady. Work becomes flow. You move with the current rather than against it. People around you will sense your quiet consistency and feel strengthened by it. They will trust your timing even when they doubt their own. That trust becomes leadership. This rhythm produces magnetism. The calmly persistent attract helpers. The impatient repel them. No one enjoys working beside restlessness, but the steady man, the one who never hurries yet never stops, becomes a center of progress. The world loves reliability because reliability resembles order. When you embody rhythm, others synchronize to you. Persistence and peace also govern health. The body, like the mind, thrives on rhythm. Work without rest leads to collapse. Idleness without purpose leads to decay. Balance both. Rise early, labor faithfully, rest sufficiently, and nature will repay you with vigor. Energy is not created by haste, but by harmony. When the mind is calm, the body obeys its rhythm. To preserve rhythm, avoid the extremes of excitement and despair. Success may tempt you to arrogance, failure to despondency. Both break the beat. The wise man remains even. When victory comes, he thanks law and continues. When defeat arrives, he thanks law and learns. His tone never changes because his foundation never shifts. He is anchored in purpose, not circumstance. Peace is the music behind persistence. Listen inwardly for its melody. It is the still voice that says, continue. It speaks even when evidence disappears. It whispers in the silence after every disappointment. The world calls it hope. The wise know it as infinite intelligence guiding from within. Obey that voice, and you will never drift far from the path. Practice the art of rhythmic living. Divide your day into deliberate intervals, time for labor, for study, for reflection, for rest. Each serves the other. Work sharpens the mind, rest renews it. Reflection refines purpose, purpose directs work. When these flow together, life becomes symphony. Disorder disappears because every note fulfills its part. When doubt arises, do not wrestle with it. Simply return to rhythm. Continue your task. Law rewards constancy more than brilliance. Many talented men fail because they work by moods. The disciplined, persistent worker overtakes them. Genius without rhythm burns out. Persistence without talent still triumphs. The slow, steady beat breaks every barrier in time. Peace deepens through repetition. Each evening, withdraw from the noise of the day. Sit in stillness and review your progress. If you have advanced even slightly, rejoice. If you have faltered, forgive. Then affirm, I persist calmly. Success follows surely. Speak it until your nerves unwind, your heart slows, and the mind returns to harmony. Sleep in that vibration. The subconscious will continue your rhythm through the night. Remember that the rhythm of persistence extends beyond work. It is a way of being. Walk steadily, speak deliberately, breathe evenly, think clearly. Let nothing shake your composure. The world may rush, but you shall remain centered. To master rhythm is to master time itself. For the man who moves in harmony with law always arrives exactly when he should. There will be moments when fatigue whispers surrender, when results appear distant. In those moments, recall that the darkest hour comes before dawn. Hold your rhythm one more day, one more act, one more repetition. Many have failed at the threshold of victory. The current of success often tests faith through delay. Endure that delay peacefully, and the door will open. There is no such thing as wasted effort guided by faith. Every thought, every motion, every act aligned with purpose builds the unseen structure. You may not see progress, but progress sees you. Law records all and delivers at the appointed time. The key is to remain steadfast, patient, and calm, to keep the rhythm unbroken. Let this affirmation become your companion. I persist calmly. Success follows surely. Say it as breath, not words. Let it move through you like heartbeat. With each repetition, you remind your mind that victory is not sudden but constant. You are not chasing success, you are unfolding it. The seed does not chase the flower, it becomes it through rhythm. Others will marvel at your composure. They will ask how you remain unshaken through storms. You will answer not with speeches, but with results. They will see your calm consistency and call it luck. But you will know it as law, persistence guided by peace, rhythm harmonized with infinite intelligence. When this law becomes natural to you, your life gains a new melody. Work becomes joy, rest becomes worship, patience becomes pleasure. You will move through days with quiet certainty, like the tide that never forgets its return. And the world, sensing your steadiness, will begin to move with you. This is the rhythm of greatness, the pulse of faith sustained through time, the peace that surpasses circumstance, the persistence that turns thought into empire. Repeat once more before closing your eyes. I persist calmly, success follows surely. Then let that rhythm carry you into rest. For the man who lives by law does not toil against the current. He sails with it in perfect peace. Part 9, The Awakening of the Millionaire Mind. There comes a moment in the life of every earnest soul when the invisible becomes visible, when faith ripens into certainty, when thought ceases to be theory and becomes creation. That moment is awakening. It is the birth of the millionaire mind, not a mind obsessed with gold, but one attuned to law. It is the mind that commands without anxiety, that acts without doubt, that serves without hesitation. It knows that all wealth begins within, and that nothing outside can rule what is ordered inside. The awakening is not sudden. It is the quiet flowering of every law you have practiced. It is the inevitable reward of definiteness, faith, discipline, service, and persistence united into harmony. You awaken not because the world changes, but because your perception does. You no longer look outward for confirmation. You feel within the steady pulse of infinite intelligence directing your every thought. The voice of fear grows faint. The voice of purpose speaks with authority. The millionaire mind is not a collector of coins. It is a conductor of ideas. It thinks in systems, not fragments, in causes, not effects. Its wealth lies first in clarity, then in confidence, and only lastly in coin. For money is the shadow of organized thought. When the mind is definite, peaceful, and service-driven, gold follows as water follows gravity. You cannot stop it, for it is drawn by law. The old mind, the drifting, fearful, hesitant mind, begins to dissolve. You feel it as a weight lifting from your chest. Decisions once difficult become effortless. Worries that consumed your nights now appear small, almost amusing. This is not arrogance, it is understanding. You realize that life was never your enemy, that it was waiting patiently for your cooperation. You were not being punished by delay, you were being trained for direction. When the millionaire mind awakens, its first expression is gratitude. Gratitude not for possessions, but for perception. You see that every trial strengthened faith, every failure refined purpose, every silence prepared your inner ear for truth. You begin to thank life for what once made you curse it. This change in vibration is the signal that your consciousness has crossed the threshold from lack to abundance. The man who is thankful before receiving is already rich. In this new state, you no longer chase opportunity. You attract it. You no longer beg for approval. You radiate confidence. People begin to feel something different in your presence. A steadiness, a surety, a quiet magnetism. They may not understand it, but they respect it. You have become law in motion, and the world obeys the tone you set. Others will call it luck. They will see doors open for you and not understand that those doors were never locked. They were simply waiting for the right vibration. You do not force them open. You pass through by right of consciousness. Law does not grant exceptions. It grants results. When your inner condition matches wealth, wealth must appear. It is not personal favor. It is mathematical justice. Henry Ford once said that the secret of success is to believe you can, and you're halfway there. But belief is more than thought. It is embodiment. The millionaire mind no longer hopes for wealth. It acts as if wealth already exists. It spends not recklessly, but confidently. It speaks not timidly, but constructively. Every movement, every word, every plan is a declaration. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. You begin to see wealth everywhere, not as glittering metal, but as potential form. A barren field becomes enterprise in waiting. A conversation becomes partnership in seed. A problem becomes invention disguised. The awakened mind sees supply in every shortage, order in every chaos, opportunity in every obstacle. Its wealth is not dependent on circumstance, for it sees through circumstance to cause. You will notice that your emotions change as well. Anxiety no longer rules. You act with calm energy. There is rhythm in your days. Action balanced by reflection. Giving followed by receiving. You do not force results. You cultivate them. Like a wise farmer, you prepare the soil of thought, plant the seeds of faith, water them with persistence, and let time do its perfect work. This serenity is not laziness. It is efficiency in harmony with law. The awakened man no longer measures his worth by applause or possession. He knows that peace is wealth, that confidence is coin, that clarity is treasure. He could lose every dollar and rebuild it, because the true fortune resides not in hands, but in head and heart. The poor man who wins the lottery without mental order loses it within years. The rich man who loses everything rebuilds it, because he carries wealth in consciousness. This is why I say to you, do not chase money. Cultivate the mind that attracts it. Money is obedient to law. It follows faith, flees fear, and hides from confusion. When your thoughts are definite and your emotions disciplined, fortune cannot resist you. It may delay to test your persistence, but it cannot deny your vibration. Law must deliver what you believe and act upon continuously. At this stage, you begin to think not merely of accumulation, but of expansion through contribution. You realize that wealth hoarded is stagnant, while wealth circulated multiplies. Service becomes your greatest investment. You find joy in creating opportunities for others, in teaching what you have learned, in elevating all who cross your path. The true millionaire mind thinks not of possession, but of legacy. Consider Rockefeller, whose fortune built hospitals and universities, or Carnegie, whose libraries lifted entire generations from ignorance. These men understood that money is only energy, and energy must move. To hold it selfishly is to choke its source. To circulate it with purpose is to become a channel of infinite intelligence. That is why the world remembers them not as rich men, but as benefactors. The awakened mind sees business as service, wealth as responsibility, and labor as expression of faith. It refuses to exploit because it knows exploitation is theft from itself. It refuses to fear competition because it knows that service multiplies demand. It refuses to gossip, criticize, or complain because such acts lower vibration and repel prosperity. Its speech becomes creative decree, each word spoken with intention and faith. From this state of consciousness, miracles become routine, coincidences multiply. The right people arrive at the right time. Solutions appear as if whispered by unseen allies. These are not miracles, they are harmonies. Infinite intelligence always cooperates with order. Once your mind is attuned, you live in perpetual cooperation with law. What others call fate, you call faith fulfilled. Even your physical presence begins to change. The eyes grow steady, the voice deepens, movements become deliberate. You radiate assurance without arrogance, strength without struggle. Those around you feel safer in your company. You become the calm in their storm, the pillar in their uncertainty. Influence flows naturally because your vibration harmonizes with truth. This is leadership in its highest form, command through character. To maintain this awakened state, guard your mental diet as you would guard a treasure vault. Avoid idle talk, negative suggestion, or environments saturated with fear. The mind is sensitive soil. It grows what you plant. Keep your thoughts rich with gratitude, purpose, and possibility. Speak only of what you desire to expand. Each word is seed, and the subconscious is always fertile. Begin and end each day with deliberate command. Upon waking, affirm, I think as creator, I act in law. Let that sentence shape your mood, your posture, your expression. Throughout the day, repeat silently, I command through faith. Before sleep, close with gratitude. I serve through law. I am peace in motion. These three affirmations form the trinity of the millionaire mind: creation, command, and service, all anchored in peace. You may find that as this practice deepens, life simplifies. You no longer feel torn between choices. Intuition speaks clearly. You act quickly, correctly, without debate. You see patterns others miss because your mind is organized around purpose. You recognize the difference between distraction and direction, between delay and development. Your days flow with precision because your thoughts no longer fight one another. This inner unity creates outer success. The divided mind builds halfway and stops. The unified mind completes. The uncertain man starts 10 projects and finishes none. The definite man completes one and prospers greatly. The millionaire mind wastes nothing. Not time, not energy, not emotion. Its focus converts even small actions into great results because every movement aligns with central purpose. There is one more sign of awakening. Fear of loss disappears. You understand now that nothing real can be taken. Only form changes. Substance remains. Money may fluctuate, but value endures. Relationships may end, but growth remains. Positions may shift, but skill and faith stay. This security liberates you from anxiety. You become bold, not reckless, generous, not naive. You can give freely because you know law guarantees return. Peace, once a distant goal, becomes your daily companion. You no longer strive for it, you express it. Success no longer excites you excessively. Failure no longer troubles you deeply. You have transcended the seesaw of emotion and found balance. This composure is your greatest wealth, for from it flows every other achievement. The calm mind can think clearly, plan wisely, act swiftly, and lead fearlessly. At this stage, others will seek your counsel. They will sense the order within you and come to align themselves with it. Teach them not through argument, but through example. Let them feel your certainty, your serenity, your discipline. The true teacher does not convince, he transmits. His presence alone awakens faith in others. When you live by law, you become a lighthouse guiding others to shore. Never boast of this awakening. The moment you claim superiority, you lose harmony. The awakened man remains humble because he knows his power is borrowed from infinite intelligence. He is merely a steward of divine law. Pride cuts the connection. Gratitude strengthens it. Each morning gives silent thanks for the privilege of thought, faith, and purpose. Gratitude keeps wealth alive by keeping consciousness aligned with source. You must also remember that awakening is not the end. It is the beginning of true creation. The mind once enslaved to fear is now free to build. Use that freedom wisely. Choose projects that uplift, enterprises that serve, ideas that expand life for all. Every great fortune that endures is built on moral foundation. The dishonest may rise swiftly, but law removes them swiftly. Permanent success belongs to the pure in motive. If temptation comes, and it will, to use your power for vanity, remember that all energy must return to its source. What you send into the world comes back magnified. Send integrity, and law rewards you tenfold. Send deceit, and law returns it multiplied. You cannot deceive the infinite, for it is within you. Keep motive clean, and your power will remain invincible. As you continue living by these principles, you will notice that you no longer measure time as before. You will not feel older, but wiser. Days seem longer, yet lighter. You move through life as if each moment were both new and familiar, for you have entered eternity in consciousness. The millionaire mind is timeless because it lives in rhythm with the eternal. Faith, order, and service repeating forever. Now pause for a moment and consider how far you have come. Once you lived as a victim of circumstance. Now you stand as master of cause. Once you drifted through fear. Now you command through faith. Once you sought fortune. Now fortune seeks you. You have fulfilled the very purpose for which you were born, to awaken, to know, to create. Let these final affirmations seal your transformation. Speak them aloud, slowly, as decrees to your subconscious. I think as creator. I command through faith. I serve through law. I am peace in motion. Feel each phrase vibrate through your being. Imagine it engraving itself upon your spirit. This is not imagination. It is construction. You are now building identity in harmony with infinite intelligence. As you rest, know this truth. You are no longer becoming, you are being. The millionaire mind is awake within you. It will think while you sleep, plan while you dream, and act through you when you rise. You have joined the great procession of those who live by law, the quiet builders, the patient creators, the steadfast believers. When morning comes, do not rush to prove your transformation. Live it quietly, let results speak. The awakened do not announce their awakening. They demonstrate it through peace, efficiency, and service. Every gesture, every decision, every word will carry the vibration of mastery. Others will feel it and call it destiny. You will know it as discipline fulfilled. Now close your eyes and rest in this truth. You are already what you sought to become. Wealth, peace, and power are no longer distant dreams. They are your nature revealed. You are awake. You are aligned. You are one with law. And as the night deepens and silence surrounds you, repeat softly until sleep overtakes you. I think as creator. I command through faith. I serve through law. I am peace in motion. These are not words. They are identity. They are the rhythm of the awakened mind, calm, deliberate, eternal. And from this rhythm, all abundance flows. Epilogue. The eternal law of the awakened mind. There comes a quiet hour after the striving when the awakened man looks upon the journey he has traveled and understands. He sees that every struggle was a teacher, every delay a protection, every failure a disguised success. What once appeared as punishment was preparation. He no longer curses the path, he blesses it. For he sees that law never sleeps and never errs. All life, he now knows, is ordered. Every thought is seed. Every act is harvest. Every motive is weighed and measured by an intelligence so precise that not a single impulse is lost. When the ignorant cry chance, the wise say law. When the timid call life unfair, the awakened see perfect balance. The scales of the infinite never tilt unjustly. They only mirror the mind that holds them. This understanding is peace. It cannot be shaken by fortune or failure. For the awakened man no longer builds his house upon sand. He builds upon principle. He knows that power without purpose destroys, that wealth without service decays, that faith without discipline drifts. His foundation is law, definite, moral, eternal. He walks now not in hope, but in certainty. Many will ask him the secret of his success. He will smile, for the secret cannot be given. It must be lived. Words can point, but only faith can open the door. The law does not favor one man above another. It responds alike to all who obey it. The poorest laborer and the mightiest leader stand equal before it. Their difference lies only in awareness. He remembers the years when he sought power outside himself, in circumstance, in opportunity, in the approval of men. how he chased shadows and mistook motion for progress, how he blamed the world for what his own thought created. Now, looking back, he understands that nothing external could have saved him, for the prison was internal. Freedom begins the moment a man commands his thought. The awakening is not a single moment of light, but a daily renewal of faith. The mind must be guarded as a fortress, for the world still whispers fear and doubt. Old habits lie in wait like thieves, but the awakened man now recognizes them for what they are: impostors without authority. He greets them with calm, and they dissolve. For no illusion can survive the gaze of accurate thinking. He learns to live by rhythm, not reaction. He does not fight every storm. He adjusts his sails. He does not force the seasons. He works with them. His patience is not weakness. It is confidence in law. Each day he gives what is required, neither more nor less, and trusts the process. To the restless his calm appears strange. To the wise it is mastery. His speech changes. He no longer scatters words like dust in the wind. Each sentence becomes deliberate, charged with intention. He speaks only what he wishes to see built. Idle talk feels painful now, for it violates his sense of order. He has learned that speech is the great builder, and silence its sacred ally. Where others chatter, he listens. Where others boast, he acts. His presence itself becomes influence. He need not persuade, he inspires. He need not command, he attracts. People are drawn to him because they feel, without understanding why, that he moves in harmony with something higher. He does not claim to lead. He simply lives by law, and law leads through him. He no longer competes. He creates. The old urge to prove himself has vanished. He knows that no man truly competes with another. He competes only with his own limitations. Every success of another now fills him with gratitude, for it proves law's abundance. Envy cannot survive where faith lives, for faith sees infinite supply. He has learned to measure wealth not by accumulation, but by circulation. What he gives returns. What he withholds diminishes. His giving is not reckless, but guided by intelligence. He no longer fears generosity, for he knows that the hand that gives must also receive. The miser hoards and grows poorer. The wise man serves and grows richer, both in spirit and in form. Each evening before rest, he practices gratitude, not as ceremony, but as communion. He thanks law for the breath, the lesson, the strength, the chance to serve. This gratitude is his final prayer of the day, and it cleanses his mind of worry. Sleep becomes sacred, not escape, but creation. For in that silence, his subconscious continues its building. He sleeps in faith and awakes in order. He has discovered that peace is not the absence of motion, but perfect alignment of motion with purpose. The busy may appear active, yet drift. The calm may appear still, yet move mountains. True action is invisible. The most powerful forces, gravity, growth, thought, work in silence. So too does the awakened man. His stillness is not idleness. It is power at rest. In his dealings with others, he now seeks understanding before judgment. He remembers the time when ignorance governed him and forgives the ignorance of others. He no longer condemns failure, for he knows failure as the raw material of success. He does not mock weakness, for he has outgrown it only by discipline. His kindness is not sentimentality, but strength expressed as patience. He recognizes that every man lives according to the image he holds of himself. Therefore, he strives to see others as capable, even when they cannot. His faith in them often awakens their own. Thus, his success multiplies, not by possession, but by inspiration. This is the secret of leadership. to believe so deeply in law that others begin to believe in themselves. He is careful, however, to guard against relapse, for habit is a persistent enemy. The old self waits in the shadows, whispering of comfort, urging drift. But he knows now that the cost of drift is decades. He cannot return to sleep, for awakening once achieved cannot be forgotten. Consciousness once expanded never contracts. It demands expression. So he renews his discipline daily. Each morning he begins again, definite purpose, faith in action, service with joy, peace and rhythm. There are no holidays from law, but there is no burden either, for obedience to law is freedom. The undisciplined see order as prison. The master sees it as peace. He keeps ever before him the principle of humility. The universe, vast and incomprehensible, is not his to rule, only to cooperate with. He bows to infinite intelligence as a craftsman bows to his tools, with reverence, not fear. He works, knowing that he is instrument, not author. Power flows through him, not from him, and so pride never poisons his success. At times he still faces trial, for growth never ceases. Each new level brings new tests, not to punish, but to refine. Yet he welcomes them now, saying, "Here is my next instruction. Where once he complained, he now thanks. Where once he fled, he now stands." For he knows that no test is greater than the strength law has already placed within him. He often reflects upon those who remain asleep, the countless souls who drift through life repeating the patterns of fear. He does not pity them, for pity weakens. He simply resolves to live as example, knowing that one awakened mind can light many. The truest form of service is to live rightly. The flame need not shout, its light speaks. He no longer speaks of success as something to be gained, but as something to be expressed. He does not pray for opportunity, but for clarity. He does not ask for miracles, for he has learned that law itself is miracle enough. To think rightly, to feel deeply, to act definitively. This is creation in its purest form. To those who walk beside him, he says, "Guard your thought. Direct it as a gardener tends his field. Pull the weeds of fear before they root. Water the soil with faith. Expose it daily to the sunlight of gratitude. In due season the harvest must appear." This is not poetry, and it is law. And to those who despair of delay, he says, "Be patient. The greatest creations require time. The oak does not sprout overnight. The child does not reach manhood in haste. The universe builds slowly because it builds perfectly. Speed is the wish of the anxious. Accuracy is the goal of the wise. Wait calmly, work faithfully, and you shall see." He now understands the sacred paradox. The more he surrenders to law, the more he commands life. The more he gives, the more he receives. The more he serves, the more he is exalted. He realizes that true power lies not in domination, but in alignment. Law bends only to those who obey it. In his final reflections, he understands that riches were never the goal. They were the means through which faith proved itself. Wealth was the language through which spirit expressed abundance. But the real treasure was invisible. The peace of self-command, the joy of service, the certainty of cause. These cannot be taxed, stolen, or lost. They are wealth eternal. He looks now upon his fellow men with compassion and resolve. He knows that within every doubter sleeps a creator. Within every failure burns a spark of faith waiting to be fanned. Within every ordinary man lies the potential for extraordinary mastery. He dedicates the rest of his life to awakening that spark wherever he finds it. For he has learned the greatest truth of all. Success is not an individual victory, but a universal law. The man who uplifts others cannot fall. The man who enlightens others cannot remain in darkness. The man who gives life multiplies his own. To awaken another is to secure one's own eternity. And so, as he lays his head upon the pillow of peace, he whispers the vow that binds all awakened souls: I will think as creator. I will command through faith. I will serve through law. I will remain at peace in motion. And through this harmony I will bring others into light. He knows now that there is no end to growth, no final summit to success, only deeper understanding, broader service, and finer harmony with infinite intelligence. Life stretches endlessly before him, not as struggle, but as symphony. For the awakened mind does not seek rest. It lives in rhythm. It does not crave reward. It delights in creation. It does not fear death. It rejoices in continuation. And in that realization, the journey of the millionaire mind, the journey of all mankind, continues forever upward.